So in a DRDP, do we sit down with children and have them go through, all right, I'm on measure, I'm calling them measures, alt, reg, whatever it is for the DRDP, stack block so I can fill out this assessment. The DRDP is meant to be done in a natural setting, in a play-based setting, okay? When we take children, we put them in a testing environment, that's not an authentic assessment. We don't get that information that we need based on how, in a developmentally appropriate way. This is one of the cool things that has made me a fan of the DRPD 2015. Despite having all the other measures known and being familiar with it, the DRPD 2015 is a full continuum instrument. So what that means is that a teacher is able to do the DRDP in infant and toddler and carry that same DRDP through kindergarten or even school age if they want. So all of the measures are fully aligned from infancy until school age. Okay? I haven't met any, unfortunately, school age programs that are doing a DRDP, but the tool is fully aligned to be able to do it. Another big change is that it's meant to include children with special needs. So even children that have IEPs or IFSPs are able to be assessed using the DRDP. They really put in this concept of universal design, which means that all children, regardless of home culture, language, can be assessed using the DRDP, which is really, really a cool thing. It's also aligned, and I wish we had time to go into it, with the Common Core standards and the Head Start standards. This was a massive undertaking. Have you ever looked at the kindergarten Common Core standards? They are incredibly complex, but they've taken those and aligned them to the DRDP. And so here's something that I'm just going to blow your mind for my anti-Common Core people. So if the DRDP is developmentally appropriate and it's aligned to Common Core kindergarten standards, what do you think that means about the Common Core kindergarten standards? They are actually developmentally appropriate. And I won't go on my Common Core tangent right now, but Common Core is actually an incredibly developmentally appropriate assessment format. Okay? It's not a curriculum. No, don't let anybody tell you that Common Core is a curriculum. It's not a curriculum. It's exactly what the DRDP is. It's milestones that kiddos should have at certain ages. The first, I'm going to get off on a tangent for a second. The first page, if you read the Common Core kindergarten standard, it says the best way that children learn is through play. Okay? It's phenomenal. All right, that's enough of my tangent. We'll talk about Common Core later. All right, so open up the DRDP on this page, which is, I already read the introduction, page 2. It should be standard regardless of if you're looking at the preschool or if you're looking at the kindergarten. The introduction should be the same. The teachers and service providers should observe and document children's behavior in both the home language and English language to obtain a more accurate profile of the children's knowledge and skills. Why do you think that is? Why do you think children should be assessed in both their home language and their English language if they're dual language learners?
They may know more in their home language.
Exactly.
If they're learning English.
If you ever watch a bilingual child, they engage in what's called code switching. So they'll go back and forth between whatever their home language is and English. And so if they're demonstrating their knowledge, they might know their knowledge in whatever the home language is in this one concept and not know it in English, or vice versa, depending on what their experience is. So we need to developmentally appropriately assess children, even children who have an understanding of English. If they're dual language learners, we need to make sure that we have someone there who speaks the child's home language that is doing the assessment too. So that way we're able to fully assess their understanding.
I had a child that came from Japan who spoke no English, and his dad helped in the beginning of the school year. By the end of the school year, we could do it in English. He picked it up
with the DRDP?
so fast.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And if you have a child who only speaks the home language, then you do want to do those ELL. But if you have a child, sometimes, a lot of times, most teachers don't realize, oh, they speak English, I can just do the whole DRDP in English. But if they code switch, if they speak the home language at all in your program, they might be demonstrating their knowledge in their home language in one category and not in English in that category. And so if you want a true assessment, you need to make sure that you're assessing the child in both of those languages. You have someone who speaks both of those languages assessing the child using the DRDP. And that's the same concept that we just talked about. A child's experience with one or more languages is an asset to build on in early childhood setting. We've talked about that, about those. Young children, including children with disabilities, can successfully learn 2 or more languages. So again, this is where that universal design concept comes in for the DRDP. No matter what the language the child speaks, no matter what their home culture is, no matter what their capability is, the DRDP is designed to be a continuum of development. And we're going to really take a look at that when we see how the measures are organized. So it doesn't matter what the developmental or the chronological age of the child is, the DRDP assesses them on their developmental age. And that statement will make a lot more sense in just a second when we go over how they were designed. So the definition of universal design, because I keep using that word, and don't worry, I will put this PowerPoint on there. I didn't put it yet because we're going to do an activity. I didn't want you to see it before class. But I'll put it on after class, don't worry. So universal design refers to the development of assessments that are appropriate for all children to the greatest extent possible. So it's appropriate for what type of children? We've said this again and again. So this universal design concept that applies to DRDP is appropriate for what type of children? All children, including what? So culturally diverse, language diversity, ability diversity, so special needs. So again, it's a universal design. One of the things that when you evaluated the checklist, what did you have to look at? If the checklist was culturally biased, right? The DRDP, they worked really hard to make sure we have this concept of universal design. All right.